Hey guys. Welcome to a Rainbow Six Siege series, where I take a look at operator bio pages and show you the lore behind them. Today, we will be exploring the bio pages of the S.A.S, also known as Special Air Service. Let's get to it. Sledge's real name is S.A.S. Cowden. He was born in John O'Groats, Scotland, in April 2, 1985. He is 6'4" and weighs around 209 pounds. He is part of the S.A.S. Born in the far north of Scotland, Cowden's military father and nurse mother moved to Inverness with him and his 3 siblings when he was 5. His athleticism elevated him to the position of captain of the 1998 Scotland under-20s rugby union team. Following a long family tradition of military service, Cowden joined the 3rd UK Mechanised Division of the British Army. His drive and physique suit the division's historical nickname of Ironsides. Cowden's first assignment was in the Armoured Division, where he studied engineering and specialised in upgrading the infantry combat vehicles. From there, he developed various breaching tactics. He was then recruited into the S.A.S, where he holds multiple records in speed and strength. An expert in mechanical, ballistic, explosive and thermal breaching strategies, Cowden is the operator to choose for quick and relatively silent destruction. It's part of my job to understand where the country shapes the person, and Specialist S.A.S. Sledge Cowden seems indelibly shaped by a rugged terrain where he was born. It isn't just his imposing presence and athleticism. I can't help but feel that his personality evokes the wilderness as well. He's stoic and proud, though admits that he can be hot-headed at times. Field reports describe his courage, leadership, and extensive operational experience as much as they mention his unpredictability. He's much more than a gentle giant as some suggest. Cowden is something of a raconteur, and for much of our discussion he told me one rowdy tale after another. When he was 12 he cobbled a hang glider together out of boat sails and launched himself off his house. He broke both ankles. During military training, he accidentally collapsed his entire sleeping barrack while testing a new breaching technique, and another time he sank a captain's motorcycle by riding off the pier because he wanted to see how far it would travel on the surface. Not far, I gather. His stories aren't just to entertain. They help to establish a comfortable connection. It's such a casual offhand leadership style. Cowden views his fellow operators as family, Specialist Mike Thatcher Baker in particular, who he credits for convincing him to switch to the Caber. Numerous Rainbow operators refer to Sledge as one of the easiest operators to work with. Overall, Cowden is easygoing and unpretentious, though he gets ruffled at the mention of politics. A self-proclaimed news junkie, he doesn't shy away from debates. In fact, it's the reason he joined the military, and why one of his brothers is currently an elected MP. Cowden understands that, while on assignment, Rainbow operators don't voice their political opinions, and so far there hasn't been any issue. We should trust that he can control his hot-headedness, at least before he's down at the pub. Dr. Hirishva Haripandi, director of Rainbow Sledge's training includes British Army in the 1st Armoured Division, HND in Automotive Engineering, and, finally, 22nd Engineer Regiment RE. His relevant experience includes British Army 3rd Mechanised Division, Operation Telic, and Operation Herrick. I'm told you wanted to have a look-see at my Brucey. Why? No offense, Mirror, but I don't need someone mucking about with my Caber, trying to make it look sexier, when Mike's uncle built it for me. Sorry. Specialist Bloody Mike Thatcher Bloody Baker, he damn well made me forge the thing over and over again until we got it right. It's a solid piece, no forge weld to introduce weak points. It's made with a differential heat treatment to better transmit the shock of blows along the core, and the shaft is covered in fiberglass molded to my hand's pan for a better grip. It's a solid 4140 steel, built for shock and stress, balanced to prevent it from being too top heavy. I don't need
fucking laser sights.
Put on the damn thing, and I can promise you that, if any of your techies come near Brucey, as the saying goes, it will kill.
If there's one thing I know for sure, it's that a 6-inch blade never loses reception.
Thatcher's real name is Mike Baker. He was born in Bideford, England, on June 22, 1964. He is 5'11" and weighs around 158 pounds. He is currently part of the S.A.S. Baker comes from a long line of dockworkers and soldiers. At the age of 18 he enlisted for active military duty despite family pressure to join the family trade as a stevedore. Immediately thrown into politically charged conflicts, Baker's performance was exemplary. Further training in another conflict gave him a Distinguished Flying Cross and Conspicuous Gallantry Cross. His keen sense of observation and decisive manner, combined with his close-quarter combat techniques, made him invaluable on VIP protection detail. With extensive field experience and proficiency in S.A.S. tactics, Baker is a critical asset to any rainbow operation. He has honed his expertise with protective measures and electronic countermeasures and frequently works with engineers to advance the equipment. As a Warrant Officer Class 1, Regiment Sergeant Major, Baker serves as a respected and effective mentor to new recruits. Baker maintains his agility training, continuing upskilling, and has broken numerous mountain climbing records. Knowing that Specialist Mike Thatcher Baker is cynical toward bureaucracy, I wasn't surprised that he was reluctant to meet me. I needed a different approach. Baker lives aboard the Iron Maggie, a boat in dry dock that he repairs in his spare time. It's his retirement plan. I suspect he moved there temporarily when his wife divorced him, but now he knows no other civilian home. Baker has a distinguished record of military service. He's respected and in some cases, idolized by those he mentors. When he welcomed me to his home, I could see why people described him as down to earth. There's more to Baker's gruff, no-nonsense exterior. It just required some effort for him to trust me. Raised in a coastal town, Baker has a strong connection with the water. We spent our entire meeting on the deck of his ship, overlooking the cold sea. Being someone who isn't handy, mastering a paper airplane as a kid was the peak of my craft. I wanted to know what Baker likes about boat building and working with his hands. He told me that besides appreciating the precision of it, he liked shaping the wood into something that has purpose. I suggested it was similar to how he mentors recruits. He replied that he doesn't care about the wild things the way us uni types do. Specialist S.A.S. Sledge Cowden is one of his few close friends. Baker's tolerance of Specialist Mark Muchander surprised me, since Baker is impatient with youthful bluster. When asked, Baker would only say, "Mute's a clever kid." He sounded almost envious. I wonder if Mute reflects someone Baker wishes he had been. While by no means a Luddite, Baker does have an aversion to technology. To him, it's a tool, like a hammer or screwdriver, nothing more. The idea that people come to rely on it as a crutch is what annoys him. I suggested that he spend time in the engineering lab with specialists Masarueko Inatsu and Emanula Twitch Pitchen. They have a lot to teach one another. Dr. Hirishva Haripandi, Director of Rainbow. Thatcher's training includes British Army, Parachute Regiment, British Army, Bravo 20, British Army, S.A.S. Warrant Officer Class 1, Regimental Sergeant Major. His relevant experience includes Operation Nimrod, Operation Barris, Operation Telic, Operation Lightwater, Operation Green Viper, Operation Elamy. One of the biggest challenges for a team is Specialist Mike Thatcher Baker's EGMKO, EMP grenade, since the electromagnetic surge can disable electronic gadgets within its radius. The EGMKO EMP disrupts. In some cases it can destroy quite a few of our devices. It locks up my cardiac sensor as it can't detect another pulse. The EMP is deceptively simple. It's the grenade's impact that charges the electron particles. That concentrated energy cascades across an area, even through walls, and spike nearby electronics. Short of wrapping ourselves in a Faraday shield to protect our devices, there isn't much that we can do against that. Despite how exhausting Thatcher's I told Yasso can be, I appreciate how the EGMKO, EMP is an extension of his personality. The same could be said about each of yous, but Thatcher really owns it, man. It's as straightforward and direct as he is, and keeps us on our toes, and he loves every damn minute of it.
As for what's in the canister, it's best you don't ask.
Smoke's real name is James Porter. He was born in London, England on May 14, 1981. He is 5'8" and weighs around 154 pounds. Though Porter wasn't an exceptional student, aptitude tests revealed his propensity for sciences. Encouraged by faculty and his parents, he was able to follow a more unorthodox manner of education with tutors, homeschooling, and field science. He flourished in this break from formal classroom studies and quickly developed his skills in chemistry, biology, and math. Uninterested in pursuing a formal university education, Porter forged a fake ID and enlisted in the British Army. Though the rigidity of army rules wasn't always a good fit, it was offset by the diverse range of training and experiences army life gave him. While he had been reprimanded for breaking the rules, his superiors quickly recognized both his innovation and strategic perspective. He was then encouraged to join the S.A.S. Porter prefers to acquire knowledge and skills, such as language and music, on his own way, and does not excel in a formal training capacity. It's important for me to not have any preconceived expectations before a face-to-face with any specialist. Since assessments of specialist James Smoke Porter contain some contradictions, I couldn't have settled into any viewpoint anyway. So essentially he entered my office as somewhat of a mystery. Porter is consistently described as detached. I reviewed his files and found that his aloofness occurs during high-intensity situations. It's likely not detachment, but focus. I'm reminded of my uncle who used to tap his forehead and tell me to master my mind. Porter, I think, is mastering his mind to stay on task and filter out dangerous distractions. He strives to keep emotions away from decision making, opting for outlets such as live music events to deplete the tension, thus enabling him to be the person he needs to be on the job. It's clear that Porter's parents encouraged him to be a free spirit and develop his education and personality on his own terms. While it resulted in some unfortunate mishaps, one science experiment left some physical scars, but no emotional ones that I can see. There was great benefit in it. Porter's free-range education helped create a complex, dynamic person who isn't easily categorized. Porter is popular among his teammates and considered valuable despite some recklessness. Descriptions such as thrill seeker and fearless seem simplistic to me. However, there's more nuance to Porter than that. He's measured and understands calculated risks. Porter, and our other operators, understand that it's more important to respect fear than to try to pretend we never feel it. Self-taught from an early age, Porter continues to spend time cultivating his own identity. He enjoys acquiring experiences and once he's mastered them, moves on. The exception is his adopted daughter. He would only share one photo of her. I've never seen an infant surrounded by so much dangerous paraphernalia, but Porter assures me she is now in high school, excelling within the system he himself was unable to comprehend. Through her, he sees the world in new ways, exactly the kind of challenge he adores. Dr. Hireshvahari Pandev, director of Rainbow Smoke's training includes British Army and Joint NBC Regiment. Smoke's relevant experiences include Operation Banner, Operation Green Viper, and Operation Shader. Controlled tests of the compound Z8 grenade required a number of measures including limiting the presence of lab personnel to only the most critical. Strict rules surrounding the PPE disposal, personal protective equipment, and protocols for hazards had to be maintained at all times. Even though the facility is state-of-the-art, additional precautionary measures were required before testing could begin. The compound Z8 grenade mixture's incapacitating agents are comprised of substances are classified and so have been redacted from this document by the order of the Director of Research and Development. As such, the presence of Specialist James Porter and Specialist Lee Uzi Long is required at all times, including for any future testing. First tests were basic data gathering, including the structural integrity and design of the canisters, as well as deployment timing and range of effect. Evaluation also included a series of tests to measure exposure guidance levels, and when necessary, antidote compounds are being reviewed as well. Data results are still being processed and will be attached when they are ready. Mute's real name is Mark R. Chanda. He was born in York, England, on October 11, 1991. He is 5'11" and weighs around 163 pounds. He is remarkably the youngest operator in Rainbow. An exceptional and well-rounded student, Chanda was one of the youngest accepted into the University of Cambridge. He majored in electronics and computer engineering, completing an internship at a prestigious tech company where he contributed to the design and function of security system prototypes. His ingenuity caught the attention of Britain's National Security Office, the Government Communications Headquarters, GCHQ. Having demonstrated acuity in code breaking, Chanda became an intelligence officer within the Signals Intelligence (SIGINT) unit. He continues to contribute to the Applied Technical Research team and has recently expanded his field of study to include learning Korean. It may not be immediately clear why Specialist Mark Chanda's code name is Mute. While he dislikes small talk, he isn't particularly reserved, and in fact can be brash, a trait that is off-putting to some. Whatever social agitation he experiences, there are some indications that he's unable to shake it off. I suspect it's because he's impatient. He needs to appreciate that there are different approaches to solving a problem. Interestingly, Specialist Mike Thatcher Baker seems begrudgingly tolerant of him and has been known to speak up in Chanda's defense. Chanda tends to gravitate to certain personalities. In particular, I've noticed that he's been interacting with Specialist Timur Glazkov lately. Because Chanda revels in deconstructing equipment to create something new, I think he's drawn to abstract thinkers, and Glazkov has a similar talent for seeing complex situations in a unique way. Given his background in information security, Chanda understands secrecy and seems uncomfortable with expressing himself or with personal questions. In his field, and here at Rainbow, information is a critical, life and death, commodity. So of course, I respect this, but only up to a limit. I had to find another way in, and we managed to find common ground in discussing history, of all things. For someone so focused on science, he surprised me. His hometown of York is one of the most historic cities in England, and it's a city I adore. He described in wonderful detail how he had to pass the Gothic church on his walk to school. He liked to lean back and look up at the bell tower for so long that it made him wobbly. My meeting with Chanda reminded me that we here at Rainbow tend to focus on how our operators excel in the STEM fields, but there is great value in our operators having passion and interests across a broad spectrum of studies. Chanda demonstrates why he's much more than someone who is used to being the smartest person in the room. Despite his young age, I'm certain he has something to teach the others. Dr. Hirishva Haripandi, Director of Rainbow. Mute's training includes University of Cambridge, Bachelor of Science, Engineering, PhD Electrical Engineering, Britain's Government Communications Headquarters, GCHQ, Signals Intelligence, Specialist, SIGINT, and S.A.S, SIGINT Communications and Technology. Mute's relevant experience includes Tempora, GCHQ Prototype Engineer, and S.A.S Prototype. Rainbow Director Hirishva, 6, Pandy and Research and Development Director Elena, Mira, Alvarez have made these evaluations a top priority. I was asked to review the GC90 signal disruptor alongside Specialist Chanda. He's invested many years researching defense systems and GPS-reliant military systems. Really, he's the expert on the subject. Specialist Chanda and I put the GC90 MONI signal disruptor through a number of interior and exterior scenarios. The key focus was to test jamming signal parameters based on several constraints while keeping the device's weight to a minimum. Regarding the attached evaluation results, Specialists S.A.S and Pitchin, IQ, and Twitch made repeated requests to review the data because both have devices that are powerful counters to the MONI. I didn't want to be uncooperative, but I wasn't clear on the protocols. Mute wasn't granted access to the IQ Red MK3 results until Director Alvarez had seen them. So Mira, I'm leaving it for you to decide. Commenty Alvarez, that's fine. Vigil, I'll handle it from here. Thank you for watching through the entire video. More videos like this will be coming along the way.